Hey gamers, if you've been following this channel, you already know the must-play Metroidvania games that absolutely deserve a spot to your library. In today's video, we're diving into the best 2.5D Metroidvania games that you should play in this 2026. Some of you maybe disagree the ranking, but that's okay. All I know these game is a good game. Alright then, without further ado, let's get started. At number 20, we have Mirror of Fate. This game is not a continuation of the gameplay you know from Lords of Shadow. Yep, Mirror of Fate switches things up and becomes a 2.5D Metroidvania with a heavy focus on exploration, backtracking, and hunting down upgrades. The entire game takes place inside Dracula's castle, but it's divided into multiple chapters featuring different playable characters. Each character has their own areas to explore, unique abilities, and story progression that connects together, which helps keep things fresh and prevents the game from getting repetitive too quickly. And yup, it may not be a top-tier Metroidvania, but it's a solid bridge between Lords of Shadow and Lords of Shadow 2, and a great entry point if you're just getting into the genre. Kong Survivor Instinct is a MonsterVerse action platformer set after the events of Kong vs. Godzilla. Unlike most MonsterVerse games that focus on titans beating the hell out of each other, this one puts you in the shoes of an ordinary guy named David, a father trying to find his daughter in a city torn apart by the return of the titans. The combat is decent enough, but most players agree it's the weakest part of the game. Fights are slow-paced, and the repetitive enemy encounters can make combat feel more like something you have to get through than something you look forward to. Even though it's not a deep Metroidvania, a lot of players enjoyed exploring the ruined city, hunting down health and ammo upgrades, unlocking shortcuts, and making their way through collapsed buildings that double as platforming challenges. Before we continue to the video, I want to give you a recommendation to buying games in this modern era, and that's it, ENEBA. ENEBA is a digital marketplace made for gamers, with over 40,000 products available. You can find PC games, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo titles, gift cards, in-game currency, and a lot more all in one place. What makes it really worth checking out is the pricing. A lot of the deals are cheaper compared to official stores, and there are cashback offers too, which helps you save even more. What I also like is they support a lot of different payment methods, so you've got flexibility depending on what you usually use. They also offer secure payments and 24/7 customer support, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more polished and trustworthy when you're buying games. If you like getting great games at better prices or just want more value for your money, ENEBA is honestly one of the best places to check before buying anything. So if you're a smart guy, then you already know exactly what to do. All you have to do is click my link in the description below, search for your favorite games, and redeem the game code you already paid for. And by using my link, you'll not just get awesome deals, but also help me support this channel. Alright then, let's get back to the list. Space Adventure Cobra. The Awakening is a throwback platformer that nails the vibe of the classic 1982 anime. The game follows the first 12 episodes of the original series, blending animated cutscenes into the campaign without feeling out of place. At the center of it all is the Psycho Gun, Cobra's iconic arm cannon that feels a lot like Mega Man's legendary Buster Cannon. This is pure run-and-gun action. Every stage throws tons of enemies at you, and the screen is almost always packed with bullets and explosions. Movement also has a strong contra feel. You can control your running speed, change direction mid-air, and dodge hidden turret fire at the last second. It's old school, fast, and doesn't waste your time. The Mobius Machine is a Metroidvania that actually leans hard into sci-fi shooting instead of making you smack everything with melee attacks like most games in the genre. You play as an astronaut who receives a distress call from his own spaceship. While trying to save it, boom! The ship crashes and now you're stuck on a hostile world crawling with aggressive aliens. Your job is to explore, shoot anything trying to kill you, and find a way back home. You can aim freely with the right stick, and you've got a signature big spaceman jump that helps you dodge enemy attacks. pace. Movement upgrades are essential for surviving and reaching new parts of the planet. Like a lot of Souls-likes, when you die, you drop a chunk of your cogs and have to recover them. Save points are spread pretty far apart, so sometimes you'll be trekking across half the map just to get back where you died.
Sturdy armor, but it.
Somber Echoes is a sci-fi Metroidvania with a Greek mythology twist. You play as the demigod Adriesta, who wakes up aboard the spaceship Atramitos with most of her powers gone. After discovering the ship has been wrecked by her sister Harmonia, she sets out to explore its depths, reclaim her lost abilities, and figure out what the hell happened. Combat revolves around melee attacks, special abilities, and a parry system. Early on, parrying is your main defensive tool, and thankfully the timing window is pretty forgiving. Besides earning major abilities from key boss fights, you'll also uncover hidden artifacts that upgrade your weapons and existing skills. And the map automatically marks items you found but can't reach yet. That makes backtracking way less of a headache since you don't have to memorize every secret spot you passed earlier. Strider is a revival of the classic Strider series that blends fast-paced ninja action with a modern Metroidvania structure. You play as Strider Hiryu, an elite ninja sent into the futuristic Kazakh city to take down the ruthless dictator, Grand Master Mayo. To reach his target, Hiryu has to explore interconnected districts, unlock new paths, gain new abilities, and take out the generals enforcing Mayo's rule. For both Metroidvania fans and longtime Capcom action game fans, this is still one of those revivals that manages to stay true to what made the original great while feeling modern at the same time. With a first playthrough lasting around 6 to 8 hours, Strider delivers a tight, fun experience that rarely slows down. And honestly, I'm not gonna spend forever explaining the gameplay because you guys probably already know how it works. The Last Case of Benedict Fox is a Lovecraftian horror Metroidvania that follows paranormal detective Benedict Fox as he investigates the mysterious death of his father. With the help of a demon companion named Harry Houdini, he dives into the memories of the dead to uncover hidden secrets and piece together the truth. Combat revolves around a bayonet and flare gun, while new abilities gradually unlock previously inaccessible paths throughout the world. Puzzle solving is a huge part of the experience, but fair warning, a lot of the puzzles and objectives barely give you any clues. That said, the game includes some pretty welcome accessibility options, including immortality mode, one-hit kills for regular enemies, and frequent auto-saves. Combined with fairly forgiving platforming, it ends up being more approachable than a lot of other Metroidvanias out there. Look, GRIME 2 doesn't give a damn about copying its predecessor's homework. At its core, this is Metroidvania double the size of the first game, but it borrows heavily from the Get Good school of design. You play as the Formless, a silent mime creature that is essentially a sentient sponge driven by an endless hunger to absorb breath and enemy essences. Platforming and slashing are standard, but the combat completely revolves around an aggressive parry or die philosophy. If you hate mandatory parrying, this game will absolutely test your patience. However, it gives you a massive power gauge called Force. Keep it full and you deal ridiculous damage. Plus, the skill-absorbing mechanic is heavily expanded, letting you steal enemy abilities to customize your build so you can actually fight on your own terms. Look, if you haven't played Shadow Complex Remastered, you're missing the literal blueprint of modern 2.5D design. Coming out of Epic Games long before they got corporate and lazy with Fortnite, this thing successfully adapted the classic Super Metroid formula into a gritty military thriller. The level layout is entirely built around line of sight. Unlike traditional flat 2D games, enemies will set up turrets or take cover in the background layers of the screen. You're forced to use the right analog stick to aim directly into the Z-axis, turning what looks like a standard platformer into a tactical cover shooter. By the time you find the friction boots and start sprinting fast enough to run up walls, the base opens up beautifully.
No! 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 Clear! Damn it!
Hitting a state of pure, uninterrupted movement flow is tough to pull off, but Tales of Kenzera actually manages it. You control a young shaman warrior whose entire combat style hinges on how fast you can switch between two completely distinct masks. Pressing the trigger shifts you instantly between the Sun Mask for heavy close-quarters spear combos and the Moon Mask for ranged cosmic crowd control. The environments act less like a traditional labyrinth and much more like a high-speed obstacle course. You are constantly forced to chain mid-air dashes, freeze abilities, and wall jumps over massive elemental hazards. It's light on backtracking, heavy on execution, and hits you with tight platforming challenges that require rhythmic, flawless button inputs. Forget about standard casual side-scrolling exploration because you will get absolutely demolished if you play this next one like a casual. The core loop of the devil within Satgat lives and dies entirely by your reaction time. It takes the high-risk parry system straight out of Sekiro and forces you to master it on a side-scrolling plane. If you try to button mash your way through these corrupted corridors, the grunts will instantly punish your spacing and delete your health bar. But when you finally learn the telltale flashes of enemy animations, combat becomes a beautiful, violent dance where you deflect a heavy blow, execute a counter dash to slide behind a boss, and launch them into a devastating air combo. Yup, for Metroidvania 2.5D, this one is a must-try. A roguelite progression loop completely flips the script on traditional exploration in Tower Hunter, Erza's Trial. Instead of mapping out one massive, interconnected world, you are constantly scaling a shifting mega tower. When you die, you lose your immediate stage progress, but you get to bring rare crystals back to the base camp to permanently unlock massive branches on a passive talent tree. The variety in how you actually fight is the real selling point here. You aren't locked to one playstyle. You can swap between heavy greatswords, nimble dual daggers, or mid-range spears on the fly, and each weapon features its own distinct combo routes. It hits a very specific, satisfying itch if you love an endless stat grind. Ditching traditional fantasy and sci-fi settings to drop you right into the middle of a hyper-stylized futuristic school campus makes this next entry the absolute wildcard of the list. Kotama and Academy Citadel structures its progression around a brutal student hierarchy where you literally have to fight your way to the top of the social ladder by force. What makes it mechanically brilliant is the temporal coil system. By building up a combo meter during combat, you can warp time around specific enemies, freezing them in midair while you reposition or buffer your next heavy attack. The environments are vast, ranging from sleek neon-lit lecture halls to dark industrial sewer systems hidden beneath the quad. Imagine taking the grim, blood-soaked atmosphere of Yharnam and condensing it down into a heavy, stamina-based side-scroller. That's the exact vibe of Vigil: The Longest Night. The pacing here is highly deliberate. You can't just swing wildly because every dodge roll and heavy strike drains your stamina bar, making every encounter in the dark a tense game of chicken. You're given 4 completely unique weapon types: swords, daggers, heavy axes, and bows, each sporting deep skill trees that completely alter your defensive options. The world design is unapologetically cryptic, filled with hidden side quests that can be permanently failed if you progress too far, rewarding the patient explorer who loves piecing together cosmic horror lore. Yup, this is Dark Metroidvania in my opinion is a must-have. Look, here's the raw deal on Mandragora. The marketing lied. They called it a Metroidvania, but it's actually a clunky, brutal 2D Dark Souls clone. If your viewers expect smooth jumping, they're gonna hate it. The platforming is total garbage. Your character moves like they're underwater, and you will die more from missing ladders than fighting monsters. The only saving grace is the RPG depth. The build customization is insane. You can mix heavy armor, magic, and rogue daggers however you want, and respecting is easy. But But the last half of the game is an absolute mess. The devs clearly ran out of time, so they just recycled old bosses, cranked enemy damage up to an unfair degree, and forced you into a tedious crafting grind. Tell your chat, if they love slow, brutal combat and deep stats, buy it. If they want smooth movement and a polished endgame, skip it. You are a grizzled, cynical rabbit named Rayton who straps a massive, military-grade mechanical fist to his back to fight off a robotic army. Yup, fist forged in Shadow Torch makes it look effortless. The structure of this game is all about weapon switching mid-combo. You start with the giant fist for breaking shields, but eventually unlock a high-speed drill for aerial mobility and electric whips for long-range crowd control. The developers clearly took inspiration from arcade fighting games. You are constantly buffering directional inputs to execute launchers, cancels, and air juggles. All of this takes place in an incredibly detailed diesel-punk metropolis full of neon signs, rain-slicked streets, and brilliantly hidden shortcuts that loop back into the central hub just when you think you're completely lost. If you want that pure, nostalgic Castlevania DNA, stop overthinking it and just download Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. The entire progression loop is governed by the shard system. Every single monster you slay has a random chance to surrender its soul, giving you access to their specific magical attack, passive buff, or summoning ability. Because there are over 100 different shards to farm and upgrade, the game offers a ridiculous level of player freedom. You can build a character that throws giant flying pigs, fires continuous beams of holy light, or fights entirely with kung fu kicks. It's an absolute loot fest, packed with secret walls, breakable ceilings, and nostalgic gothic charm that never gets old. Bringing a legendary franchise into the modern era without losing its soul is exactly what Nintendo accomplished with Metroid Dread. This is how you bring a legendary franchise into the modern era without losing its soul. Her movement feels impossibly smooth. The slide mechanic allows you to transition from a full sprint into a tight crawl space without losing a single frame of momentum, and the free aiming counter lets you swat down aggressive aliens mid-stride. But the game brilliantly contrasts this empowering speed by introducing the EMMI zones. In these specific desaturated sections of the map, a terrifying, near-invulnerable robotic hunter stalks you based on sound alone. It instantly shifts the game from an action-heavy explorer into a tense, heartbeat-racing stealth thriller, providing some of the best pacing spikes in the entire genre. While the sequel leaned much harder into traditional combat, the original experience of Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition remains an absolute clinic in pure, momentum-based platforming design. Everything changes the moment you unlock the Bash ability. This mechanic lets you grab onto an enemy, an environmental hazard, or a stray projectile in midair, freeze time for a split second, and launch yourself forward while catapulting the object in the opposite direction. Suddenly, you stop looking at the map as a collection of floors and walls and start seeing it as a giant continuous pinball machine, chaining together dashes, double jumps, and projectile launches to clear the game's famous pulse-pounding flood escape sequences feels incredibly satisfying, backed by one of the most beautiful visual styles ever put in a video game. It takes something truly special to beat Metroid and Castlevania at their own game, but Ubisoft managed to pull it off with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. The combat is excellent, but the real highlight is its approach to platforming and exploration. As you progress, you unlock time manipulation powers that let you leave a clone in one location, activate a switch elsewhere, then instantly teleport back to your clone midair to clear obstacles and solve traversal puzzles. It also fixes one of the most frustrating problems in the genre with its memory shard system. Instead of trying to remember every unreachable path or locked door, you can take a screenshot and pin it directly onto your map for later. Smart, polished, and mechanically brilliant Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown sets a new benchmark for modern Metroidvania design.
Track the ethereal cusp.
If you've been following the Metroidvania scene lately, then Bloodstained the Scarlet engagement is probably already on your radar. This is also the final project that creative director Shutaro Ida worked on, making it an important release for both the team and longtime fans of the series. Set in 16th century England, the game features a large 2.5D world with a dynamic day and night cycle that affects enemies and exploration. The biggest new feature is the dual protagonist system, letting you switch between Leo and Alex on the fly or use both characters to solve environmental challenges. Combat also gets a major upgrade with the Epiphany combat system, where experimenting with different inputs unlocks new weapon combos during battle. It's still a bit early to judge the final product, but from everything shown so far, this looks like another damn good Bloodstained with the kind of gothic, dark fantasy atmosphere fans have been waiting for.
Riga Tortoise! Riga Lancris!
With me!
Cross Reaper!
Castlevania is finally getting a proper new 2D game this October with Castlevania, Belmont's Curse. And yeah, Konami isn't handling it alone. They teamed up with the people behind Dead Cells. The story takes place 23 years after Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse and follows a new protagonist, Rose Belmont. Visually, it's a huge shift from the darker pixel art style of the older games. Everything is brighter, smoother, and way more animated, almost like a dark fantasy anime in motion. Combat also looks much faster than classic Castlevania. There's less of that slow, methodical feeling and more emphasis on aggressive movement, quick reactions, and chaining attacks together. Rose moves incredibly smoothly, and the whip animations look fantastic. Whether you like the new art style or not, the gameplay already looks damn good. And with the team behind Dead Cells involved, expectations are pretty high.
Last of House Belmont.
And that's it for today. These are the best 2.5D Metroidvania games you can play right now. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. Once again, if you want to buy games with cheap price, the link in the description, okay? So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.